And welcome back to another episode of Mount Jozmore. I'm your host, Joz, and it's my show where I like to talk about my favorite things or my top things or just things, and I like to put them on a list and put them out there for you guys to like, comment, or tear me apart for them. And I enjoy doing this, so we're back. Pardon the sleeveless hoodie look here. I know it's a little sloppy looking, sloppier than my usual tone. However, it is really humid in my office, and I don't have things set up in my other recording area to do this. So here we are. This episode is going to be fun. I have to emphasize this one. I really, really do request that you guys keep the commentary civil in the comments. I usually, I get a couple people, especially on TikTok, I think was the most recent one, where somebody was basically arguing with me about the factualness of what I was saying. And in that context, it was on my last episode that was about my favorite jerseys across the MLB. And basically arguing with me that I believe he said the Expos didn't wear powder blues, which again, guys, Google is free. Like, you can just use it. It doesn't cost money. It doesn't cost anything. You can literally Google, did the Expos wear powder blues? Yes. End of conversation. As if I needed more. I also coached with a guy who played for the Expos and wore the powder blues, and he also confirmed this to me, that this was a thing. I just got the artwork back for this episode. It's fun. You're going to love it. But yeah, so, one, try to be factual if you're going to try to argue a point from a point of knowledge. And the other side of that is stay civil, stay fun, stay lighthearted. This is supposed to be a good time. Nobody likes an internet troll. Nobody likes an internet bully. Most people say things on the internet they would never say to someone's face. And the only reason you would say them to someone's face in this day and age is because if that person punched you in the face, you'd probably get arrested. Not that I condone punching people in the face, but sometimes you just want to punch someone in the face. That being said, stay civil, stay nice out there. Like, you never know what people are going through, and being a jackass on the internet just always makes things worse. So don't do it. That being said, this week's topic, I'm excited because I'm going to ruffle feathers with this one for sure, is my Mount Jozmore of conspiracy theories, some of which I can't believe people actually believe. So I am going to put a little bit of twist of my own beliefs on here. And, some of them are wild. Some of them are like, okay, this is, potentially true. Maybe there's some truth here. Maybe some of them aren't so far-fetched. They're not proven, but they're not disproven. But it's not too far of a stretch to get there to be like, oh, okay, we're not too far off base. Some of them are like, really? But without further ado, let's dive into my Mount Jozmore's honorable mention of conspiracy theories. My first one, we're going to go with the one that is less and less of a conspiracy theory as time goes on. And that's everything surrounding Area 51. So the government at this point has basically come out and said, aliens exist. We have proof. And because of everything going on in the time in the country when they announced it, nobody cared. Area 51, heavily known and guarded. There's got to be something happening there that people aren't, that people still want to be protected, hidden, whatever. But the extent of what goes on at Area 51 is insane. This one, so much so, had people debating storming Area 51 under the guise that, they can't stop us all. You had the vape lords were going to just chief on their vapes and create a huge cloud of, of vapor smoke. And then the people were going to Naruto run because you couldn't be detected that way. And it was crazy. Which was probably its own conspiracy theory in and of itself at this point, technically. But I digress. Just the entirety of Area 51, how deep it goes. I mean, we're talking about a spot that when you get close enough, you'll hear people basically telling you turn around or you won't have the opportunity to do so. It's a no-fly zone. There are, if you've ever seen an aero map of like flight zones and stuff like that, I've only seen one because I had the pleasure of working with somebody who was a private pilot, and he could just pull it up on his iPad and show like, oh, these are like current flight maps and everything else. This dude had military clearance. He had government clearance. It was insane. The stuff that he had had access to. It was really, really cool. But there are only a few like hard no-fly zones. And, one of them is a area around Air Force One. Like there is basically a mobile airplane above at all times. That's basically a mobile command center that if El Presidente ever needs to just get up and go, they're near him close enough that they can just get him up and go. There's a no-fly zone there. There's a no-fly zone over the president at all times. And there's a couple other. Area 51, always a no-fly zone. And like a radius extending beyond Area 51. It's like you can't even get like in the ballpark. You'll get a radio transmission saying, "This is your warning. Turn around or we're shooting you down. You have 5 seconds to change course." Well worth every conspiracy theory that's around it. Also, fun fact, Area 51 is where they make Spam, which stands for sliced packaged alien meat. You're welcome. Oh, one of the biggest conspiracy theories in history, the JFK Lee Harvey Oswald acting alone and the magic bullet theory. And there's a lot to dive into on this one. I'm not going to get so in depth on it. Fun fact, little fun plug for my old, no longer active and putting out episodes podcast called The Common Debauchery, which you can still find on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We did an entire episode or two about conspiracy theories. Our favorite ones, the ones that we believe might be true, things like that. And we went into some of the deeper dive of the JFK one, including the thought that a Secret Service agent was paid off to shoot the bullet that actually hit him. All kinds of crazy stuff. And like this one is so wild that like we still don't have hard answers. Like there's lukewarm answers, I guess we can say. But the fact that like there's still no hard answers on this one, and people, I mean, who, why, all kinds of crazy stuff. Again, not gonna. If you want to go into that one's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of layers to it. So enjoy. It makes my honorable mention because there's so much behind it, and it's of such historical significance too that it's hard to ignore that one. You can't mention conspiracy theories, especially in this country, without talking about everything surrounding JFK. Speaking of another one that is, I believe this one's technically been debunked, but people still believe it, and it's that the Titanic never actually sank. It was the Olympic, which was her twins, like a sister ship of the Titanic, and they just late night, overnight covered up the paint, switched the names. People got on the wrong boat, and at the last minute, like, I don't know if it was like, I'm just going to use the name JP Morgan. Like JP Morgan was the one funding it, and at the last minute, he was like, sorry, can't make it, guys. But all these other affluent people in and around Wall Street were there, and he knew it was going to sink, and it was a plan. Like, there's a whole conspiracy around it. Again, I've been told recently in a conversation with a friend of mine, when we were talking about different conspiracy theories like this, that this one has actually been debunked of late or recently, or proven incorrect or something, that like one of the dives down to the Titanic, somebody tried like chipping away at the paint around the name, and there was no like there was no nothing, like it like there was no paint job over the name or something to that effect. But still a fun one, especially when you consider the ramifications of some of the high rollers that didn't make it. And I'm not talking about Leo, although there's all kinds of room on that friggin' door. She sucked. Anyway, off topic. One of my favorites is the Men in Black. And I'm not talking about the Will Smith movie, or the second one, or the third one, or the fourth one that didn't involve Will Smith. I'm talking about the basis for the movie Men in Black. And a lot of this centers around these like guys, literally just nondescript men in black suits wearing black hats and black sunglasses, showing up in areas where people were heavily talking about UFO sightings and other weird things that happened in the world or in the area. And like they almost coincide exclusively with like random photos shortly after something happens. And then, hey, these guys show up and all of a sudden no one's really talking about that thing anymore. A lot of it having to do with like UFO sightings and, UFO crashes. I know they were heavily involved around the Area 51 crash, things like that. And I mean, there's pictures of these dudes. Now, is it possible that it's just coincidental you found a couple dudes in black suits and people are like, hey, there's pictures of people in black suits around a place that thing may have happened? Possibly, but that's why it's a conspiracy theory. Nobody knows who these dudes are. Nobody knows who they work for. Nobody knows where they came from or where they went. But they showed up in black nondescript suits, nothing really identifying about them. And that one goes as deep as they are highly trained government entities that are meant to keep things that we as the public aren't supposed to know secret. If I go missing, they probably had something to do with it because I'm talking about conspiracy theories. But, I don't know that my following is deep enough yet to be scaring government entities. I don't ever plan on getting to the point where government entities want to even talk to me about what I'm saying into this microphone. But the Men in Black is a fun one. If you, again, any of these, I'm not going to go too terribly in depth on, but if you want to dive into them, they are fun. They are fun to kind of get into and hear the different layers behind it and how convoluted some of them get, but how other aspects of this are like, I don't know, man, that's pretty close. Like, that's fairly believable. The moon landing being fake, there are a lot of people that believe this one. This one is a big one. There are a lot of theories and reasons, like, the shadows from, the flagpole don't match. And, they match more of a well-lit studio, not one light source being the sun, which is over there, but somehow there's 4 shadows being cast off the pole and stuff like that. All kinds of different stuff on that one. This one ties into this one and the next one I'll talk about tie into the big one that I'm going to talk about at the end. That's on Mount Rushmore. It could probably be the only one on Mount Rushmore, and it's going to ruffle feathers. I guarantee it. But like, people show like, this is what things look like this is what cars look like, but this looks like a garbage can with some stuff taped to it. And that's what we went to the moon in? Sure, type thing. You're like, this is what scuba gear looked like, but, this big clunky suit for outer space makes sense. Like that type of stuff. It's interesting. I find it hard to believe that this whole thing was fake. The only reason it, this happened during the whole, the race to space happened during the Cold War, if my memory of history is accurate. So the only reason to fake that would be to basically say we did it and to end the race with us and other countries doing it. But I mean, other countries have gone to space since then. So I'm not really sure why you would fake it when somebody could follow you up there if they make it up there and like, hey, remember that flag you left here? It's gone. Well, those are the aliens. Tying things together. The moon not being real is another one. There are legitimately people who fully believe that the moon is a myth. Now, I'm a big proponent of seeing is believing, and I have seen the moon. I have looked at the moon through a telescope. I have been in the Rocky Mountains and seen the moon when it feels like I could reach out and poke it. I have been out in the country where you can see the moon clear as day, and the longer you stare, the more craters and stuff you can see. I don't know how you can look at that and be like, nope, it's fake. Unless we're in a simulation. Which is another good one, that we are in a simulation. If you read into any of the people asking AI questions, yikes, maybe we are. But here nor there. I don't think the moon is fake because, again, seeing is believing for me a lot, and I can see the moon. But have to mention it because, again, there are, I don't know how you believe that one, but people do. Hollow Earth. Hollow Earth is one of my favorites, and I forget about this one regularly in conversations about conspiracy theories. This one is essentially and there's a lot to this one as well, that the Earth, after a certain level, is hollow. And there are anything from the lizard people, which if you want a fun one, there's a, like this one dives into other ones. Lizard people, the Illuminati, the New World Order, like the people running the simulation are inside the Earth and we're on top. Or we might be at another level and there's a level beyond us. Whatever. However you want to cut this one. But Hollow Earth, you know, that there are things and people and other humanoid type things that live inside the Earth. And there are people who say, like, if you know what the uncanny valley is, which is, you know, the innate fear of things that are human-like but not human, and like we're generally afraid of things because of conditioning over time. So why are we afraid of things that look like us but aren't us? You know, that the whole uncanny valley comes into the Hollow Earth conversation. I don't know if it started there, but it has something to do with it. You know, where a bipedal lizard man would freak the crap out of me. Well, because we've seen them before they retreated back to a Hollow Earth and let us continue the experiment. Hollow Earth is a fun one. That, like, there are, again, a lot of layers to that guy. Two more recent ones. Actually, I won't go there quite yet. A U.S. Harry Potter tie-in here. A Chamber of Secrets behind or in Mount Rushmore. Like, whether it's, you can walk in Washington's ear, and like it basically that it's like where all the government secrets are held, because you can't go anywhere near it. You can see it from a distance. It looks cool under the lights, but you can't go in it. You can't climb it. Like, you can go up into the Statue of Liberty. You can climb the Eiffel Tower. Like, you can go around a lot. You can walk along the edge of Niagara Falls and the Grand Canyon. You cannot go anywhere near Mount Rushmore, I think. And I have to talk about this one. It's kind of what my show is named after. I took my face and put it on Mount Rushmore 4 times, and then me hanging out dressed like a jackass at a Bills game in front of it, enjoying my time in front of Mount Jozmore. But I have to talk about this because, again, here we are talking about a conspiracy theory about Mount Rushmore. And there are, I believe it's been confirmed that there are tunnels behind it. Because obviously people have had to work on it and do things. But that once it was done, they basically turned those tunnels into like a bunker of some kind. And it holds, like, whether it's a doomsday shelter of some kind or just like holds, you know, like the Book of Treasures or whatever National Treasure was about, the Book of Secrets. Like all of our government secrets are behind Washington's ear on Mount Rushmore or something. It's a fun one. I mean, and there's got to be something behind there, right? I don't know. Listen, if elect me president, I will tell you what's back there, and I will move my office so I am looking out Lincoln's eye. That'll be fun. That'll be a good time. Well, let's do it. I'll do a show. I will do this show from inside Lincoln's eye. Next election, write me in, Joz, just for that. Nothing else. Anyway, 2 modern ones. These ones are going to be the start of people ripping me apart. Both chemtrails, you know, the exhaust lines that you see in the sky from planes. I've seen these things forever. Like, my entire life I remember seeing them. And I don't know how far back this conspiracy theory goes, but it does dive into those chemtrails being, like, basically, like, chemicals that can control us or keep us unhealthy or keep us dependent. It's, you know, why mental health and mental illness is running more rampant than it ever has. Not the fact that we understand our brain more. You know, a lot of things like that. That's a big one. And it's big enough that people talk about it, and I don't care to know enough about it to talk any further about it, because I think at some point you got to let the crazy be crazy. And even if we know, even if you think about it, what are you going to do about it? I don't know how to make and maybe that's a really crappy way to look at things like that. But tying into that is the militarization of weather. When I was looking through some things before doing this episode, one of the conversations that was had, or one of the conspiracy theories, it's one of the biggest ones in the U.S., was a specific tornado that hit somewhere. And now it's been heavily talked about, some of the flooding in Texas that happened, people were like, oh, like right before this happened, there were strange flight patterns with weird military style aircrafts that were like putting things into the air that caused this historic rainfall to happen and flood out parts of Texas. And like, oh, like the flooding and mudslides that wiped small towns in North Carolina off the freaking map last year was caused by the government and their control of the weather. I have worked outdoors a ton in my life. I used to do grounds crew. My main boss at the time will tell you stories of me being 20 minutes from him where he is sitting with clear blue skies, sunny and warm, and I'm calling him saying, I quit. We have to cancel the games where I'm at tonight because all the work I just did went out the window because of a downpour. It is pouring here. It is dark, thunder, and lightning. And he would go, what? And I would have to send him pictures and videos. If you can control the unpredictableness of Mother Nature, like, can you just be honest and show us, because that's wild. And also, I feel like that's something that you can monetize. And that's my big one. So like I'm a big proponent when it comes to conspiracy theories that, like, the more people, like, first off, if you can monetize something, you will. So you're not going to tell me that somebody possesses the ability to control the weather, but we watch multi-billion-dollar events happen in rain and snow and other crappy weather. Like, you're going to tell me that a multi-billion-dollar industry like the NFL couldn't be like, you know what? We chose an outdoor stadium for the Super Bowl. We really don't want it to rain. Can you fix it? Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Really? You're going to ignore that? Come on. Come on. Come on. Ugh. One I was going to save, it was on, I don't know if you saw me adjusting things here while I was thinking and talking, but this one was on Mount Jozmore until about 2 seconds ago, and I took it off because I remembered another one we'll get to. The Denver International Airport. You want to talk about a conspiracy theory with layers. It's the Illuminati World Headquarters. It was built and established and run by what is referred to as the New World Order, which is apparently different than the Illuminati, depending on who you talk to. The Illuminati being the powerful people, rich and famous of the world that make the world go round while the rest of us peasants just exist through everyday life. The New World Order being the people who are really pulling the strings. You can talk politics, and I don't do this. I don't do politics. This is all you're going to get out of me, and shut up about it. Right wing, left wing, same bird. That's my thought. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. You can fanboy for or against them all you want. They don't care. The conversation they want is you and me in a fight, so they can do whatever they want behind the scenes. With that being said, the driving force behind that would be what people would consider the New World Order, where people believe that that all of these people that are doing this are behind the unrest in the world to keep the everyday people occupied and distracted while they run the world. And that the Denver International Airport is the headquarters for that. There's also been ties to, satanic cult. With the way it was built, it looks like a symbol. I don't remember what symbol. I didn't look it up. Sorry. There's the gigantic horse with the glowing eyes. That thing is really freaking cool, but also really kind of creepy. If you haven't seen it, totally worth going to Denver for. Fly into Denver, go see the horse, and go wherever else you want to go. I don't recommend driving around Denver. That sucks. People can't drive around there. There's 5-lane highways that just dump into each other. And every day of the week, 24/7, there is traffic, and it sucks. But go see the horse. It's fun. It's a good time. But yeah, that one's a big one. There's a lot of layers to that one, like I said, between who runs it, why it was built the way it was built, what's underneath it, what it symbolizes, all kinds of good fun stuff. And to cap off the honorable mentions, how do you not mention conspiracy theories without mentioning Bigfoot and other cryptids? Right? Bigfoot, listen, I want to believe. I do. I really, really do. You are not going to tell me that in 2025, with the technology we have, with the photos, cameras, a working computer in your pocket at all times, that like we haven't seen them yet. Unless Bigfoot or a Yeti or an abominable snowman, which I believe technically are all the just different versions, like it's like technically like black bear, grizzly bear, polar bear, all bears, just different variety, different flavor. Bigfoot, Yeti, abominable snowman, a Bumble if you want. Bumbles bounce. I don't know if Bigfoot bounces. Maybe it's a different kind. I don't make whatever. But this goes into like the New Jersey Devil, Loch Ness Monster. I mean, you can go as deep as like the Mothman, all kinds of stuff like that, and diving into, anything from the Appalachian Woods, which good luck. I mean, you want a horror story, go have fun with that. But all of them. Do I believe that none of them exist? That one I find hard. If there is a Yeti type creature out there, whether it's a Yeti or an abominable snowman, we are very much talking about the most mountainous areas of mountainous places, and really, really mountainy cold places would be the only way that these things haven't been seen yet. Places where tracks get covered just by one gust of wind. You take 5 steps, wind blows, you turn around, look, and your tracks are gone because the snow blew over it. That would be the type of thing that would keep these things unseen. Loch Ness is not big enough for a creature that big to stay unseen with people looking for it adamantly. So a lot of those, I want to believe in a lot of them, but it's hard to in this day and age. So with that being said, we are going to dive into the actual Mount Jozmore of conspiracy theories, that most of which I can't believe people believe. I will be honest with you. One of these I might have some belief in. We're going to start with that one. It is referred to as Skinwalker Ranch. We just talked about cryptids. If you know what skinwalkers are, it is a very, very creepy concept. These things are referenced as far back as Native American lore of things that would basically, when you're in the woods and you're in the woods alone and you hear someone calling your name, don't answer. It's probably not for you. Well, it is for you, but it's not who you think it might be. And they can sound like your wife, your mom, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your dog. They can look like your dog. They shapeshift. There's some really creepy videos on TikTok about this one. Do not watch them at night if you have a weak constitution and have nightmares easily. You've been warned. Skinwalker Ranch is a gigantic ranch area that is basically been bought and blocked off. Again, I should do more research when I dive into these, but timing is tough sometimes. I'm a busy person. I enjoy doing this, but I don't have the time to dive in depth as much as I would like. But it also helps me keep the episode shorter, which is more easily to digest content for you people. So, Skinwalker Ranch, basically it's a ranch area of part of, I believe, the Midwest, where somebody bought it and you can't go on it. I think they're now getting to a point where maybe you can book for a lot of money, like an overnight Airbnb type deal with them. But I would have to look into that more. And basically the entire thought is this is where the government is keeping the skinwalkers. I believe there's caves and stuff involved, and that's where they live and they keep them. There's just a lot there. And this one is the one that honestly, if there's one on here, I believe it's probably this one. It's so creepy. And the whole theory of skinwalkers and the whole lore behind them is really creepy. And to some extent, I want some creepy stuff to exist. I don't know if I believe in ghosts and spirits and that whole thing, but I do know that I have seen some things that made me question whether or not I believe those things. And I have been scared crapless in my life a total of 3 times by things I cannot explain. So Skinwalker Ranch, I really want it to be a thing where, those things exist. They're really, really creepy, but somebody out there has them under control and locked away, whether it's people like the Winchesters from Supernatural or the government holding them under wraps. I don't care. I want them to exist, but I want them under lock and key. Look into the Skinwalker Ranch. It's cool. That's all I'm saying. This one kind of pisses me off that people believe it, and I'll tell you why as I get into it, and that is that the NFL is rigged. And this one started more so with the revelation that the NFL is listed as an entertainment business, not a sporting business, which means you can technically fix the outcomes without it being illegal. Now with the the inclusion of gambling around the sport more so than you saw with just fantasy football, when you can do prop bets, game bets, money lines, all that stuff. As soon as you involve Vegas, there's all kinds of theories and thoughts around it. And here's my biggest thing. And people go as far as the NFL is scripted. So this time of year, people are getting the script handed to them. And it's, well, what if people get hurt? Well, it's like the WWE. What happens if, the guy who was supposed to win the championship gets hurt? So the Chiefs are supposed to win the Super Bowl again this year, but Patrick Mahomes gets hurt in week 2 by some freak thing, a non-contact knee injury. Play action turns the corner and there goes the ACL. Well, now what? Well, is it believable that Gardner Minshew can lead the Chiefs to another Super Bowl? Probably not. Is it worth the run in the story for Gardner Minshew to take him to the AFC title game and lose? That'll be fun. Matt Castle 2.0 gets sold to the highest bidder. My man gets paid because people like him. And Patrick Mahomes comes back and gets a redemption arc next year. They make the change on the fly. But my whole thing is you're going to, for a conspiracy to be believable, in my opinion, is directly related to how many people would have to be in on it, first off, and also keep their mouth shut. Well, you don't need that many people. The NFL and the execs can make this decision, because you're never going to tell me that the NFL, that a dude like Josh Allen, even better, you're not going to tell me that some first overall draft pick comes out, gets his first script, and the answer is you're the bust. And you're going to be out of the league in 5 years. And you're going to be broke. You're going to tell me that dude isn't flipping and telling the world for a paycheck? You're out of your damn mind. No shot. Well, they don't need the players to be in on it. They can, have the refs be in on it and blah, blah. The refs, the dudes who aren't full-time employees of the NFL, they're the ones keeping the secret? What? Because those dudes need jobs outside of the NFL. If they were full-time employees getting paid an assload of money, sure, maybe I believe that. But no, these dudes aren't full-time employees. And you're going to tell me that these dudes get death threats. These dudes get ripped apart. They get beer bottles thrown at them. Do you know how much money I would have to be making? I would, first off, there would have to be a very powerful union. There would have to be a huge, I would never want to need for a damn thing. I better be getting paid more than the highest paid player in the league, or I am telling everyone. And that's the thing. You're the dude who costs a diehard fan base their shot at a Super Bowl, or the Super Bowl itself, with a call or two that push the game back the other way. And you get death threats, you get people going at you on social media. It's the world of it's 2025. People get doxxed. There was a rash of people getting swatted, it was called, where somebody was playing you in a video game. They found out where your IP address was, and they called the cops and basically said that, this person is heavily armed and has hostages. So a SWAT team kicks down your door. But an NFL ref is going to just tolerate people doing crap like that to him to keep his mouth shut because the NFL is rigged. The amount of people that need to keep their mouth shut for it to work is directly proportionate to how believable the conspiracy is. If this was a thing that one dude could pull off on his own, you know what? You're probably right. But You need thousands of people to be in on this, and nobody. And so much so that you would need people who've been so wronged by the league to not open their mouths. The entire Colin Kaepernick thing, no matter where you land on that, you don't think that guy would have come out and been like, it was in the script. Where's my money? There was a dude who tried to come out. He had like a 3-year career as a wide receiver. His biggest claim to fame was he did some punt return stuff sometimes. And he came out and said, I have the scoop, I have proof, I have pictures, I have emails. I can show and prove to you that the NFL is rigged, open to the highest bidder. And nobody cared. I'm sure somebody wanted to see it. Called him, hey man, what do you got? And it was nothing. The NFL's not rigged. You may not like the outcome, but just because, and I'm a Bills fan, I never like the outcome. We've been really good for 7 years. We were really shitty for 17 prior to that. We lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. I have never been a fan of how the season ends for the Bills because we've never won a Super Bowl. And I can tell you, I really don't think it's rigged. I really don't. And if you do, I would love for somebody in the comments to explain to me why and how they're getting away with it, with as many people as you would need to be in on it. Whew. Okay. Now, this one gets a little trippy. This is going to be one of my longer episodes. This is good talking concept points here. That's not a sentence. This is the fact that the earth and our consciousnesses collectively have had a hard reset, at least one, if not multiple. One of them was people are directly relating it to like the earth being sucked into a black hole at one point. So we've changed dimensions through the black hole. One of it has to do with the super collider being turned on, where they were able to achieve nuclear fission or fusion or whatever by slamming particles into each other, or whatever the hell that was about. Science and things. Just that essentially it's basically the fact that Earth has had hard resets, that we kind of hit a save point and we pick up the game immediately, but some little minor things are different. And those little minor things that are different that we're talking about here are like what you would consider a Mandela effect. The Berenstain Bears versus the Berenstain Bears. Fruit Loops, F-R-O-O-T-L-O-O-P-S or F-R-U-I-T-L-O-O-P-S. All like different, like the fact that people think Mandela has died 3 different times. And then allegedly finally did, I think. I don't know. I've lost track at this point. And like whether it's like the earth has had hard resets or that we've lived through like extinction events, like mass extinction events that wipe out the world. And we get like, when that happens, our consciousnesses get booted to a multiverse equivalent type thing where that event didn't happen, but we still have memories of it because it's not a perfect system. And this ties into, are we in the Matrix? Are we in a simulation? Like, did the simulation crash and there was errors in the coding, so we remember things that were but actually weren't? And if you again, on Common Debauchery, we did an entire show about Mandela effects, and we talked about this exact thing, that this is a conspiracy theory, that the reason these Mandela effects, because it's not just a thing that like I misremember something, it is in mass misremembrances. Like people as a whole, no, this is how that was spelled. No, this is a thing that existed. The movie Shazam with that guy. And no, we're not thinking of Kazam with Shaq. I'm blanking on names. I'm terrible at that game. If you know me, you know that. But like that movie, I remember that movie. That does not exist. Make it make sense. So maybe there's some, like, I don't know why Mandela effects exist. The conspiracy of either, shifting consciousnesses into an alternate reality or a alternate universe. And again, like the multiverse theory is fantastic, that basically there is an infinite number of universes out there where every decision that is possibly made by every single person on the planet creates a deviation of the timeline that you're consciously existing in, but there are other conscious existences where those decisions like, oh, I didn't go on that trip, or I did ask that girl out, or, I did take that job, or I whatever. And they all exist at the same time. So when one of them hits a mass extinction event, you just get shot over into a new one. Like everybody gets shot over into a new version or something. A lot of fun behind that one. A lot of cool thoughts, like, because in theory, with the multiverse theory, which I could do one of these about my favorite theories out there. The multiverse theory, technically, there's a universe out there where I'm Batman. I want to go to that one and see what it's like. Could you imagine my big bearded ass being Batman? That would be awesome. For me. Now, this is where I piss people off. I apologize in advance for nothing. The biggest conspiracy theory that I cannot, for the life of me, believe that there are people who not only believe it, but will battle you to the death that it's true. Flat Earth. I will hashtag Flat Earth on this video, and it will probably be my most watched video. Because flurfers, that's what flat earthers are called. Those of us who don't believe in flat Earth are called globers. They actively recruit people to sit on social media and look for people who basically say they don't believe in flat Earth just to argue with them. I enjoy arguing with people on the internet, and I will not touch an argument with a flat earther because there is no winning. I firmly and honestly believe that, like, I was once told, and I'm not calling all flat earthers idiots, so careful and calm down, but I was told not to argue with an idiot because they will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. These people have insane and incredible talking points that when you, like, if you just get on a track, and I dove into this on accident once. I got brought into Flat Earth TikTok, and my phone is sitting right here, and it can hear me, and it's going to put me there again because I'm talking about this on this show. But I went down that rabbit hole. And if you stop critically thinking and just listen, you'll be like, I don't know, man, like that kind of makes a little bit of sense. And there's certain things that they use that make you start to wonder. One of the biggest argument points is, how come there's no photographic proof of flat Earth? And the answer is, well, why is there no photographic proof of globe Earth? And their whole thing is that every picture we have from NASA, allegedly NASA admits to being either fictional artwork or CGI. This ties into the moon is fake. This also ties into that we faked the moon landing because there is no going to space. The moon is inside the firmament, aka the dome. They have the argument of like, oh yeah, look at this idiot. He thinks the half the world is standing upside down. Like, and you're sitting like, well, but like center Earth is always down, is the globe idea. Gravity, the center of the Earth creates gravity and pulls everything toward the middle. So no matter where you are, the middle is always down. Well, how does the water stay on a spinning ball? Again, because gravity. Like, it's fascinating to dive into. These people are so adamant about this. I tweeted. Now you look, I took my Twitter off. I'm not using Joz Says anymore. At Notorious_Joz on Insta, at Joz of Life 25 on TikTok. People, like, I tweeted, didn't hashtag a single thing, just literally tweeted that I didn't understand or know why I ended up on Flat Earth TikTok, but I did, and it was wild. And this stemmed a 4-day barrage of at least 5 different people commenting on this to basically tell me I'm a moron, that I'm a sheep, that I am just following whatever, big NASA tells me to believe. And here's all this proof that disproves globe Earth. And 90% of it is either like, a homegrown web page or a Wikipedia article. And we all know that like I could put anything I want on Wikipedia. So that would be fun. But yeah, I mean, and then like you look into things like, okay, how have we disproven flat Earth? And it makes so much sense. It like you just got to bring yourself back to reality on it, because you will get lost in some of their argumentative points. But I'll tell you what, the amount of people, and you know what, this is probably just like a not like the loud minority, but it's just one of those things that like there are so many people that argue for this, and whether they're trolling or not, I don't know. I'm sure that some of them will show up in the comments of this video. I plan on using this one as a short and a TikTok as well, this particular topic. I'm sure it'll blow up on all my social medias as well with undue and unwanted attention, because that's what flurfers do. But I, for the life of me, cannot believe the amount of people that are just like, nope, the world is lying to you. So we are fighting this, and this goes as far as Antarctica, as we know it, is actually the ice wall that surrounds the continents as we know them. There's a gap that opens up into other unknown worlds. That is where the lost city of Atlantis is. That explains where, there's some thought that Asgard, the home of the Aesir, the Viking gods, that's where they are. There's theory that that's where like Mount Olympus is, and where those gods are. That's where they like, oh, all the things that we can't explain, that were like, oh, aliens helped the Mayans build this type thing. That like those people are there. They're not aliens. They're just from outside the wall. All kinds of stuff. I forgot where I was going with all that, but I mean, like the theory is kind of cool, like the concept of it, but the entire thought is you can't get anywhere near the ice wall because the world governments are working together to make sure you can't do it. You know, the same world governments that are currently bombing each other and fighting and doing war. But they're hanging out in Antarctica to make sure that, average Joe doesn't go heading out that way. Yikes. Anyway, this was a fun one. Any flat earth friend of mine, I have questions for you. But also, I would like to tell you that I don't think you're an idiot or a moron or any other word that I use that may insult your intelligence. I just don't think this is the smartest thought you've ever had. Outside of that, I would love to talk to you about it because it's fascinating to me that you believe it. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. This is easily one of my longest episodes of Mount Jozmore, so if you stuck around this long, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. As always, be kind to each other out there. You never know what battles people are fighting that you never know about, never hear about until it's too late. You're allowed to be hurt. You're allowed to have feelings. You're allowed to be upset. The only thing you're not allowed to do is quit. I would much rather hear your problems and listen to you till all hours of the morning than read about your obituary in the paper or hear about it on Facebook like I just did with a close friend of mine not so long ago. Keep on keeping on. It can't rain forever. It may be raining right now, but the sun will shine eventually. There's always ways to get help. There's always a way out. That's not the permanent way out. So, again, be nice to each other out there. Call your people, check on your people. And as always, like, follow, share, subscribe, that whole thing. I'm really bad at the whole plug at the end of the show thing, but there it is. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We will catch you next time on the next episode of Mount Jozmore.